There's a lot of different ways to put together an NBA team. Some are built slowly and methodically over time. Some teams feel like they've built their roster just by pulling names out of a hat. I'm not going to say which squad I'm referring to here, but we've already mentioned them once on this show today. Anyway, lately, though, we're seeing more teams being built on the kind of risk that would make a craps dealer swoon. Sam Presti trading for Paul George without any guarantee PG would stay. Toronto doing the same with Kawhi Leonard. And then there's Philadelphia, where GM Elton Brand rolled the dice not once, but twice this season, trading away all manner of long-term assets for two players who could both bolt in free agency this summer. That decision has drawn a fair amount of snickering in some NBA circles. It's one thing to risk it all. It's another to do it twice. But last night, we saw exactly why Brand was so eager to pull the trigger. And it's not just that this version of the Sixers is this oversized, rim-rocking, arena-deafening force. It's because of just how special Joel Embiid is and how fleeting Brand realizes his window could be. From the start last night, Embiid was just dominant defensively, then slowly turned up the volume on the other end until former Defensive Player of the Year Marc J looked like his ears were bleeding. Honestly, at one point, it appeared the only way the Raptors could stop Embiid would be just to trip him, which Pascal Siakam actually tried. Yeah, that's a flagrant, guys. But even that couldn't harsh Joel's buzz. The two countrymen had a nice "it's all good, bro" moment after, and then Embiid promptly blocked Siakam's next shot. Really, the only true threat to Embiid's party last night was Kawhi Leonard, who went 6 for 6 in the third quarter. Look at some of these jumpers. They are so clean. They just mask the degree of difficulty, right? I mean, it's just insane. But as soon as Kawhi went to the bench to rest at the top of the fourth, all hell broke loose once again. Here's Embiid with the three from the top of the arc. Bing! Then a little shimmy after. Give it to the crowd. Embiid, a huge Game of Thrones fan, by the way, so if you saw a little Night King in there, probably not wrong. After that, the broadcast treated us to perhaps the greatest wired segment in ESPN history. Check out Jimmy Butler about Embiid's three.
Joe, shoot it. Shoot the three. Shoot it. That's why you shoot it. I don't care if you shoot a three every time. Take us home.
So good. Embiid did so much more than just hit threes, though. A little nifty layup and one. And I don't even know what this celebration is after that, but he was excited about it. Also, the three-ball fake. And then the in-game windmill.
7-3 guy windmilling.
This is a lot of human in the air, T-Mac. And then the airplane right into the Hulk ear cup, which is impressive.
AI right there.
Embiid finishing with 33 points, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks, 3 assists in just 28 minutes. A resounding reminder of just how crazy special he is when healthy. And that's really the crux of it, right? Embiid was hurting for the first 2 games of this series. And you get the feeling that with his height and weight and injury history, health is just always going to be a looming threat. And that is something that Elton Brand knows in particular. In the mid-2000s, Brand played on a Clippers team that, frankly, was poised to go viral before being undone by health. Then he ruptured his own Achilles at age 28 and was never the same again. So if Joel Embiid is capable of this kind of performance right now, you go all in, now. And you do it with players who will specifically enhance Embiid, like we saw Butler doing in that clip. Doesn't mean the gamble will work. The series is not over, not as long as Kawhi is still playing. But it's worth rolling the dice because, as we saw last night, the payout can be huge. Now, guys, I also want to play what Embiid said about chemistry last night. Take a quick listen here.
Chemistry is overrated. When you have, great basketball players on the floor, it's easy. It's not that complicated. And we all willing passers. We play we're so unselfish. We understand that it's all about moving the ball.
Mac, maybe he's just saying, when I'm that good, who needs chemistry? I just have to do what I did that night.
What you're explaining is how chemistry is formed. When guys are unselfish, when you have to sacrifice the greater good for the greater good of the team, right? You got Tobias Harris, who came from the Clippers, who mainly had the ball in his hand, was a pick and roll player. He comes to a team with Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and J.J. Redick. He has to sacrifice his game. Joel Embiid, you have to sacrifice your game as well. That's what forms chemistry. Now imagine all these guys going out taking the same amount of shots that they took with their previous teams. Joel Embiid would be pissed that you can't form great chemistry that way. So the way these guys are playing right now, they sacrifice the game for the greater good of the team, and that's why they're looking like they are right now.
Well, the chemistry I've seen between him and Butler seems amazing, and that was my biggest concern when the trade was made, were how are these two alpha dogs going to fit. I love what Jimmy's showing. He's showing leadership that I think a lot of people don't have. It's leadership where he's pushing Embiid to be better, pushing him to be himself. For a star to tell another star, take us home,
Right.
That's pretty unselfish. So I disagree with him because this is their best win of the season, and the chemistry between him and Jimmy looks amazing.
It is not overrated. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Well, it's so interesting because there was some head bumping, right? When Jimmy first came in, there was the leak of sort of, oh, Jimmy's fighting with Brett Brown, which also kind of accompanied Joel being frustrated about the way he was playing. He came right out
lack
and
of
said
shots,
it, right? That kind of thing. But you do see their chemistry up on the podium. And sometimes it just takes time. And time maybe isn't half a season, but that's what this team had. So they rolled with it and went with it. And winning, as you guys know, cures many chemistry ills. Do you agree with me that Elton Brand taking this risk and doing this right now was worthwhile when you have Joel Embiid at the height of this physical power?
You have to go all in. You just don't know what the future holds, especially for a guy that's 7'3" and how big he is. We know the history of this league when these guys that big, they don't last that long. So to have a guy as dominant as Joel Embiid with his skill set, surrounded by the other guys that were already there, you have to go in right now.
And he just got the job, right? He's not being cautious.
No.
I mean, for first year GM.
I mean, like a fantasy, like me, a fantasy basketball player. He's going at it. And he's done great. And I respect that. I respect that he's not shy. He's coming in and letting people know that he's going to make a presence in this job.